really intensive role that is pivotal to the comp. So I'm quietly excited for him, less so for FURIA going into these maps, because Oregon, if you look back at the last 5 months, BDS, sure, it doesn't look super positive. It's a 4th rated team for them out of the 7. Their round win rate, as Ollie mentioned, is 48%. They're currently 1 and 2, so 1 win, 2 losses on this map. But look back to prior stages of EUL, they were the Oregon team to beat, and in one stage they were undefeated for 5 or so games until Rogue brought out a perfect counter prep strat or set of strats on an Oregon game against them. They are very, very happy on this map, and Bank right now, they're 6-1. These first 2 maps are really favorable for BDS, and I do worry for FURIA unless this constant permaban of Oregon is going to bring out something that we just don't expect. Either way, bans have flown through. You see in the Habana, the Mira, plus the Finca and the Kai being taken away. Thatcher is still on the board, so you may see that get brought along every now and then. And the Finca, I think, is more just a leaning towards, okay, what do they like to play? Let's get it off the board.
Yeah, I think so. You know, we spoke about FURIA yesterday, and you look at them over the last 12 months, it was a meteoric rise from near relegation to SI Open qualification to a great performance at Six Invitational 21. This seemed to have been on a little bit of a decline internationally since then to FURIA. Still a great team, still very competitive, but if you look at the result at Mexico, it was slightly worse than the result at SI. If you look at Sweden, it was slightly worse than Mexico. It seems like they've sort of been figured out over that time. Teams have got used to playing them, they know how to deal with fantasy, and once that happens, the other 4 aren't always stepping up and getting the number of kills that really need to come through. I'm looking towards Lender today. I want something big out of him. Come in, really contribute. I know he's capable. I've seen him do it time and time again. He can put the frags in. Let's start seeing them alongside Fantasy.
Now, for all I said about, the backline is going to stay the same, and you've theorised this, and I thought, now, surely there's no way you take Brady off when they're so used to him making calls on drones, holding F on the plant. Look at what they've changed around. You've got Bios playing on the Thermite. You've got Renshiro's role of Zofia being given over to Brede instead, and Renshiro's now been forced into the Netherworld. He's like, okay, well, what do you want to play? And he's like, Blackbeard. Okay, go for it.
That's actually pretty smart, though, because as I said coming in, I said, I think we might see Brede change here because he's got the ability. We know as he got the ability.
He's about to drop 20 bombs.
So it allows Bios onto that more sort of simplified role of you don't need to be worrying about fragging, because I said the last thing they want is to force Bios into engagements over and over again in gunfights with somebody like Fantasy that he's maybe going to lose out on, and you're playing a 4v5. No, put him on somewhere that he can be really impactful, something like the Thermite. Brede's got the ability to challenge players like that and win. Fantastic. But if you wanted to pick anybody in Siege Des to just put into that role of, look, you just have to play something and fit in, who you going to pick? Because I'd pick Renshiro every single day. This man can do everything. He's played so much of this game. His ability to adapt is unreal. We've said that time and time again, and this might actually pay off really well for BDS.
And I know a few people are probably looking at Pass and thinking, well, what creds has he got, right? It was back on Xbox, but he did get through into the grand final of the Invitational back then, came second to Elevate, which had players like Laxing, Bosco on there. He's been around the block. He knows
the game. He knows the game.
Massively. Maybe a bit of a different story when it comes to PC shooting, but you'll take it either way. Let's see how things shape up for him and the rest of BDS throughout the fixture. We are about 1 minute and 15 seconds in so far, and 2 players from FURIA are stacked up on Freezer here. Are they going to be ready for this one? The grenade almost coming around the corner, swallowed up by the Wamai Magnet instead. Definitely not going to be the end of the world, but it does mean these 2 members of FURIA have got to back away slowly, and BDS will be aware as a result of that drone, there are 2 players waiting for them to come pushing down.
This is a very, very LATAM defense of Freezer, let me tell you that, playing right on those bottom stairs with the shotgun. Bios gets in and gets that hatch opened with the exothermic. That's going to force both players away from the bottom of Freezer, so it's going to allow BDS the opportunity now. Brede sends the drone in, they're going to know that Freezer is clear, and we can see there's a man already down at the bottom of the stairs there. I would imagine it's probably going to be Shaiko on the Iana potentially. It is indeed going to be moving in there, looking to take those early gunfights. And Nade's going to go over the top of the lockers here. Unlikely to find anybody as they're not playing in there, and the Wamai Magnet picks it up. I think he actually tried to put it through the soft wall there to try and impact on Lender, but he's not going to get any joy. Lender still holding on to that angle from the deployable shield. Conscious of Laundry Stairs as well, but BDS a little bit slow so far.
A little bit. You can probably expect it as well. This is their first round.
Oh, absolutely. That's not a criticism or an observation.
It does not stop them absolutely blasting through two members of FURIA to start things off, mind you. Fantasy and Rare falling by the wayside, make it a third. They pull the trigger and they are going in for the kills here. One coming back in for Lender, but BDS finding one for himself as well. A trade coming in at the back of Alems. Miracle is going to have to pull off one of his namesakes here to get all the way through. One shotgun blast to the face, goes for the second, but BDS gets the close out. And look at how animated they are. They love it.
I think BDS might have got a bit excited with his first kill there. That was the best thing that could have happened for him inside that game. That should have just settled his nerves. Come on, BDS, you're a coach. You're on the thermite with the diffuser. Don't go chasing that last kill. Go and get it put down.
Now, a good few months ago, the boys hinted at, I think Alems said in an interview, we're changing something behind the scenes that you won't really see, but we're not going to tell you what it is. Naturally, I snuck into BDS's DMs and was like, right, what's he mean by that? What's going on? And he said to me, the one thing we're really trying to work on is energy. And I was like, but you guys already celebrate. Like, look at Renshiro after every round win. And whenever we're in EUL, for those who don't watch it, when BDS win a round and it cuts to player cams, Renshiro's going nuts. He's like, yeah, like he just won a grand final. The dude's absolutely insane. But he said to me, what we're really trying to get into our playstyle more is more of that LATAM energy. The one where you really big yourself up after each round. So you're constantly at that high point and you're always willing to be a bit more aggressive, make the riskier plays, almost trying to break the mold that BDS have fell into of being a little bit predictable at points. And I think what you've just seen them is him pioneering that more than anything else. Really driving that energy in the team, getting them gassed up and making sure that everyone's constantly on a high.
They're going to need it today. They're going to need it because they've had a knock coming in. No two ways about it. They've had a knock coming in and they're going to need to make sure that that energy and confidence is up. And as you say, leading from the front there, BDS, you'll have to see it. Now, we're going to have a little pre-place nitro from Lender. Going to be underneath that tier 3 in the tower, as you say. It's been spotted out by the drone, so I wouldn't expect to have too much impact on it. They will clear that out before they start trying to go in there. FURIA are going to defend the basement once again. For me, I think they need a little bit more presence out in the map. BDS were able to get in there very quickly. They were able to take Freezer. That left two of the FURIA players, Lender and Miracle, in the same position again. They were forced out of there very, very quickly. It didn't really benefit them to start off there. For me, get somebody out in the map. Let's have a little bit of a roam. Let's make their lives difficult.
Now, obviously, they will have seen that C4, so he knows not to just go swinging in here and hoping for the best. There is also a Valkyrie camera in the top corner that he isn't aware of at this point. I was thinking to myself, what are they relying on here? Like sound propagating all the way down? That's what I thought it was going to be, but nope, in it comes, and out goes the C4. No concern at all. Now they just need to get rid of that black eye, and big tower is clear. So good caution being shown by BDS. A good start in the first 60 seconds.
It is, and we'll see if BDS can get into a similar situation where they're able to play in behind those frags of players like Shaiko. That's what opened things up last time around. Now then, it's going to be a push down Laundry stairs this time. Renshiro moving in quickly on the black wall. Does get an opportunity, honestly, and he's going to find his man. And this is what I said about Renshiro. If anybody in this game can be thrown onto a random operator at a minute's notice and start getting entry kills, it is a player like Renshiro. Miracle, however, manages to take Shaiko down on the freezer stairs. Alems gets Rare, and that leaves us now in a 4 versus 3.
They're being pulled from pillar to post here as well. North to south, back down to south, up to north again. It's a nightmare. And again, this shield has saved Renshiro's life twice. First coming up against Fantasy, who he killed, and Lender then, who couldn't connect the headshot because of it being in his face. Is it infuriating to play against? Absolutely, but Renshiro is making a real meal of it so far.
Coming up to that final minute then, 4 versus 3, and we're poised for an interesting finish. Highs is playing in behind that clash shield and hasn't been dealt with as of yet. We've got the Roteros going in just to clear out that utility, telling us maybe the plant spot that BDS are thinking about here. Potentially a hatch drop as Brede and Alems, they keep rotating around. It just feels like there's a little bit of indecision here. BDS has diffuser in hand. Goes towards the freezer, but then dips back. It looks like the call has come for that electrical drop.
E-box drop, north push, and freezer all coming in at the same time. This would be a really well-timed, typical BDS drop. We see it so many times over. Renshiro down, though. Miracle with the 2-pump coming out, brings him down. Easy as that. Even pushed up the north stairs as well. There should have been someone there hoping to cover, but apparently not the case. Alems on the chase back down as well. Doesn't know that Miracle has tucked himself off to the side. Great shot from Miracle. A 3. Can he make it a 4? No. BDS still standing as he ran out of ammo there. and he comes to try and find the kill. Will he be able to find it? Yes, he will. Miracle's on for an 8 if this carries on. BDS finds one, but it's a 1 versus 2, and you're against the clash. We know how that tends to work out. He's got no HP. He's going to find himself shocked to death, and FURIA take round 2.
Effectively a 1v1 as Lender was down there at the end of the round, but as you say, the clash just with that perfect utility is almost always going to win in a 1v1 situation, especially with 10 seconds left on the board. So FURIA managed to pick up round 2. That's a successful defense of the basement, and that levels us up at 1 apiece. And the thing is, for BDS, it's really contrasting rounds there. The first one, they come in, they look great, they clear it out, no problem, they get in there, get the kills, get the job done. The second one, a few cracks show a little bit, and you can see there the problems that they may be going to encounter without having the full roster here today.
Quite possibly. We'll see how it shapes up as we go upstairs. That was the second time, or second swing of the bat coming in from FURIA. I can try for kids and dorms. Not really any massive changes coming in outside of that clash being dropped away. On the other side, it looks like more of the same originally with the Flores being intended, but BDS has moved over to playing on that Thatcher. Again, a role that you would normally see Renshiro on, so you're seeing the kind of last-minute rotations coming in. Hasn't been terrible so far, but we'll also see more as this series progresses exactly how that holds up.
There's going to be a top floor hold from FURIA this time around. Rare's just going to be sealing off the attic side of things. There's 2 options, generally speaking, for the push from BDS here. It's either in through attic and master bedroom, one or the other, or a combination of both. Now then, the drone setup from Shaiko suggests that it's going to be a push towards master bedroom. That would sort of make sense. With the, basically what I would expect from BDS a lot of the time he does is to keep things default, keep it simple. You don't want to be overcomplicating things. You've got enough to deal with inside of the team at the minute. Now, interestingly, Rare's playing down in the kitchen, and he's putting a bit of utility down there, so it looks like he's going to make a good effort to hold on to this. And with a Nitro in hand, that's not necessarily a bad shout.
It's looking back to the BDS of old in a way, where they'll push in from the west side most of the time, look to play from below, so trying to provide some contest towards that. But Alems isn't on a buck here, he's on a sledge. So really looking for that to be the top-down control rather than the from below, but you can still look towards those nades. You've of course got Shaiko with them in back pocket too, so there's still a lot for them to play behind. And one thing I've kind of observed today is teams aren't playing like 6 to 8 grenades like we saw for quite a while during Stage 3. Max of 4 is what we're seeing, and other utility-esque operators being brought along in support, so it's interesting to see that small meta shift already at their side.
Miracle very aware of Alemza's presence at the bottom of White Stairs there, just looking to cover that off. BIOS manages to... no, he doesn't. He goes in trying to open up that master wall. It's actually going to be impact tricked away. Highs is in behind that wall and can do the same again. This needs to be dealt with. It looks like there's potential for a nade underneath, and well-timed it will be as well. Gets the down onto Highs. That was beautifully played by BDS to get that wall open.
They baited him into that one big time, and now that they know he's down, maybe they can get a kill from below if they want to try and get in the spot, but he's going to crawl himself away slowly, but there's no room to get him back up. Shaiko find the nade kill onto the down member of Highs. Really good bait play, but Fantasy gets one back. This time it's Alems falling down, and Shaiko is in control of Trophy and looking to force his way forwards.
FURIA will definitely be looking for Fantasy to warm up here. Only 1 kill so far. We're only in round 3, plenty of time to go, but he's certainly a talismanic player that they look towards. They need him to drive from the front, and if he can start picking kills up, he will certainly be a danger to the French roster. BIOS just looking to move in from Trophy here, pressure that attic door, but FURIA feeling pretty comfortable as Fantasy gets 1, Fantasy gets 2, Rare sandwiched in between, and all of a sudden it's a 1v4, and Rare and Fantasy, they just demolish BDS piece by piece inside about 5 seconds.
Charging forward with that deagle and find the kill onto BIOS as well, tearing apart the back line from BDS and removing any structure they had inside a Trophy. A good round coming out from FURIA. 2-1 they sit after we've seen 3 rounds. 2 of those, of course, in the basement. Does mean we're now going into the offsite. Meeting and kitchen, the next one that we step into, rather than looking in towards kitchen and dining that we're used to seeing from a number of teams. So let's see how this one plays out.
So Meeting is an interesting third site. It's a bit more of a LATAM choice. We tend to see a lot of dining in Europe as the third choice site. What you'll tend to see... Sorry?
We like food.
We do like our food, Des. What you will see, generally speaking, inside a Meeting is going to be quite a high defensive line. You'll have somebody playing up by the top left corner, by the sandbags, wedged right in there, just behind that bomb chassis, and maybe a second defender further back in Meeting towards Split, both trying trying to challenge onto that stage wall and support each other. Sometimes you will get teams that will defend this much deeper. They'll open the rotation into Kitchen and they won't play anybody inside a meeting. They'll just try and take the peaks out of Kitchen and into meeting and challenge it that way. Maybe somebody up in Attic potentially as well, but it depends whether they want to just really commit to trying to hold on to that or not.
Small change coming in as well. You've got a Lems going across onto the more second supportive role that Rafal would normally play here on the Maverick. Instead, now you've got Renshiro back on the sledge role, something he's played a good number of times. That was given to a Lems recently, where he's now playing things like the sledge and the butt, getting more in the mix of things with the rest of the team, and BDS on the Zofia. So they are rotating through who's playing what role here, which, yes, does mean things can get a little bit uncertain if you're not too careful. But maybe it's a site-based choice they're stepping into. We will see very shortly. They're starting things out inside of Master. No doubt want to get the top floor cleared out, as you often see roamers up here. In this case, it's Highs holding inside of Kids, and Rare, who's also sat at the top of White Stairs. Fantasy is up in Attic, so you've got a 3-player spread up here as we hear a wonderful scream. No doubt that was Dark Zero's scream.
That must be the B-Stream game, that must be. We're far too early in this round for those sorts of screams and whoops, but there's plenty of action for the next 5 days as we've got both group stages going on. Plenty of action inside of this one for us, Des, as Fantasy manages to take Shaiko down. The two big fraggers going head-to-head time and time again today just seem to be finding each other, and this time it's Fantasy who comes out on top. So BDS's push towards trying to take that top floor, get Attic control and get Kid Storm's control. It's falling apart as Fantasy goes again, finds a kill onto Bios. That's now 5, Des, and he's finding his feet, and that is the last thing that BDS need today.
Especially when you have Miracle clutching up big earlier on in the basement as well. It just makes you wonder, where is the weakness? Where are they going to find an opportunity to really punish the side of Furia? Renshiro is aware that someone is sat in pit on the other side of this wall. It's half been left soft, so you can't really afford to take his eyes off it, to be honest with you, as bullets do come singing back through. Renshiro backing away into the bedroom. It's just going to slow BDS down here. Yes, they've got 90 seconds still to play with, but for Furia, this is good pressure to keep the French at bay.
As you say, it's just all stacking up at the minute inside a Master bedroom, not really moving forward. Fantasy going to take a ton of damage there as the soft wall is opened up at the side of him, but it doesn't matter. He still manages to find a headshot onto Brede, even as he's getting taken down himself. Renshiro on the trade there, 1v4 now.
This is just to get top floor control, mind you.
Yep.
This isn't even the site we're talking about here, and Renshiro's been left in a 1 versus 4. I'm pretty sure he is done and dusted at this point. There's 2 of them running their way up white. You get the indication coming in from the Malusi that he's there. C4s are thrown, players are swinging left, right, and center. It's 3-1 to Furia.
Furia looking reasonably good so far, but, you know, we don't want to necessarily keep coming back and back and back to it, but it's only fair to reference the fact that BDS, they are playing without Rafal. It is Bios stepping in, and we can see the impact that it's having. They're not able to play as fluidly, as freely as they do normally.
You know what my take is on halves in Siege, Tim. There's 2 of them, and the game can completely change when you hit it. Again, not to take away from Fury, who are playing a prolific game so far, but when BDS get on defense, I think
it will be better for BDS on defense. I think when you've got somebody standing in like that, you can then just say, right, that's your position, that's your angle, that's what you need to do. You don't need them to necessarily be able to think and adapt if the rest of the team can do the job around them. So, you know, hopefully we'll see a little bit more sort of a competitive edge coming in from BDS on the defense. But let's not take it away from them. There's 2 rounds left to go on attack yet, Des. There's certainly work that they can do. They look great in the first round. They got in there and got those kills. And I feel like that's what BDS need to be looking to do, is just get some frags and try and work in behind them. But there's a player on the other side that's starting to make it difficult for them, and that's Fantasy. He's found himself 6 inside of 2 rounds, I think. No, he had 1, so he's had 5 in the last 2 rounds. He's going big at the minute. Miracle's backing him up as well. This is not going to be an easy nut for BDS to crack.
Miracle sat as that kind of beautiful backline for the team, just picking things up when it starts to get a bit slack towards the end of the round. Sat at 5-2 himself. Now, looking at how the attacks have shaped up for BDS, if you recall on the last attack at this site, they did change things up towards the end of the round, opted to change the angle they were pushing in. You have Miracle charge his way up North Tower and get a couple of kills into meeting and really slow BDS down again. So on their side, and also looking at last round, how Shaiko got picked up by Fantasy in complete isolation. For BDS, knowing that you're at a slight disadvantage, let's also consider, you know, slowing things down a little bit here, being a little more attentive, and don't worry if it takes you an extra 20-30 seconds to get what you need to get done. That's what I was looking for. Don't sweat about it too much. It's okay. Just don't lose members in silly locations early in the round, as they've done a few times now.
FURIA conscious of the potential push from Bunker, but they're not going to see any real pressure coming in from there from BDS. They're stacking up towards the freezer side again. We've got Shaiko just up above us here as we see the viewpoint of Miracle. He's going to hold on to the bottom of these stairs with the shotgun for as long as possible. If we have BIOS come over and open the hatch, then it may well force him to move out. But for the time being, that is not the case, although I think BIOS is just heading in that direction now.
Yeah, the same as last round here. They kind of get initial control to stop anyone charging up the stairs. He opens the hatch and then disappears off somewhere else as well. It will force Miracle out of freezer, as you'd expect, so I guess good consideration being given by him to not get himself isolated inside a freezer. Can open up the meeting hatch as well, and then BDS can decide where they want this push to come in from.
That's it, it's going to be Electrical opened up as well. Rare's going to be playing inside of that Shaiko spot, and FURIA are looking pretty comfortable at the minute. They've got Haj just holding down the freezer, he's in behind the deployable shield, and this is all pretty standard. Elems is going to drone in from Bunker, suggesting that we might just see a bit of north-sided pressure, maybe east as well, and that's something that we've seen from BDS, is trying to push multiple angles.
I would rather Elems honestly be pushing out towards freezer side here. I get what he's trying to do and wants to get rid of some utility, but that shield is really holding Shaiko back on the other side of freezer, because as a player, I think it's High sat in highway that's there to give a little bit of bother. Unlike that, he's gone. There is no mute on side. There is nothing stopping a Flores, so put into good use and get him on the other side of the map. Either way here, they'll start stalling things out a little bit. Miracle maybe arguably wasting one of those smoke cannons there behind. The oil barrels outside. Brede just waiting for him to dare try and swing on this angle again, but this is where it's going to grind to a halt for the side of BDS.
Well, that's it, because at this point in time, FURIA have got the man advantage. They've got time on the side. They don't need to be swinging Bunker. Shaiko is going to drop. He's going to get absolutely nothing, Des. All he's going to get is buried as Highs manages to find the kill, and this is falling apart for BDS in the 5th round. 3 versus 5, and Shiro can get no joy from the rear stage stairs. Brede manages to find Rare. Can that be the catalyst? No. Miracle steps out with that big shotgun again, and another one. 3 in the round. Lender finishes it off, and FURIA looking clinical right now.
Miracle's in basically the same spot as last time as well, and it was such a lazy drone effort, I guess you can call it, from BDS. When they knew there was a player on highway, Shaiko's called out 30 seconds prior. Right, the guy's behind shield on highway, you know that he's there. Then rotates over to meeting, sees the guy spray bullets in towards his Iana clone, runs out and sees a guy in Shaiko's spot and goes, oh, forget about the guy on highway. I want the guy that's playing on Shaiko, and just completely ignores the highway player and dies for free to it. These are the small mistakes that I'm on about that aren't very characteristic of BDS that have bitten them so far in this half. Again, understand you've got a coach stepping in, but these aren't coach issues. These are issues of individual decisions being made by players. Same with the Lems getting caught out in blue.
This is it. I think, you know, it all comes down to you're trying to maybe overcompensate a little bit. You're trying to push that a little bit harder as a player because you feel you've got that percentage to make up. Yeah. You know, you've got those kills to find, and sometimes you just try and grasp a little too hard onto the object, the task at hand, and I think that's what's just coming across from BDS at the minute. It's been a tough first half for them. You got to feel for them, you know, working towards a tournament like this, but obviously, you know, it's whatever the situation is with Rafal, it's sufficient that it's been necessary. So thoughts with him first and foremost. But heading into round number 6, it's going to be FURIA 4-1 as it stands on the defence, and looking pretty comfortable at the minute, Des.
Interesting change coming in when Bride's stepping onto IQ. I imagine that's to help them with sniping gadgets from below, mainly looking in towards that walk-in wardrobe wall. That's a key point to get opened up, and given they struggled in the last round with the tricks coming in from the impacts, of which there are none in this round, it's worth touching on. They're just in a spot, I think, where they want to be able to, again, remove those mute jammers from below, open things up for themselves, and it's not a bad shout when you consider that there are ADSs, mute jammers, and Mozzie pests scattered around this map from FURIA.
Gonna have Brede getting himself straight up there onto the master balcony. Shaiko supporting as well. Gonna look to push in from that side again. This was the attempt last time around when attacking onto dorms. They were able to do some nice work to get that master wall open, but unfortunately it was a pretty difficult round for them after that, even with Shaiko opening things up onto Highs, who was trying to continue impact tricking at the time. It's a lot of work being done from BDS here just to try and make sure that they can get in and get that wall open, but there is work to be done, and Elems is going to start doing it with the kill onto Miracle.
It's a good start indeed. I mean, BDS has been sat in spawn for the first 60 seconds or so. They need him really up to that wall inside the walk-in wardrobe to get it open. You can't rely on Lems to get that done on the Maverick. A little bit too close to the danger zone if he is the one doing that. So BDS should be getting himself involved shortly and getting that wall opened up. Alem's the one lurking down around green here and looking to cause some trouble, but Rare is sat in security as well. He can push out from Zulu here and contest up towards this front side if he wants. C4 in hand. He could do a lot of damage. Not forgetting that, again, we've still got the wall being blocked away. Now it gets opened up, but 90 seconds is a long time to get walking opened up.
Fantasy taking a lot of damage there along the way as well. 5 versus 4 as it remains. BDS have been unable to secure a further kill here, and it looks like FURIA are just ready to try and turtle things up and hold on to this situation as it stands. Lender just looking to get aggressive here, but shut down by Shaiko on the trophy door. Fantasy, however, managing to find that Nitro kill. 3 versus 2 as Rare gets Renshiro, and with 58 seconds left to go, it's BDS's job now to start pushing into sight. They've got the man advantage. Damage done from Rare once again. He's gonna find a Lems to level things up. It's all down to Bride and BDS.
Bit of work to be done here. Bride, the one that all eyes turn to drag them through this round, and with how messy it's getting, he knows that one's on white and one was around kids, but he's on the move. High's holding tight, Rare the same, just daring them to come stepping across here as well. Must see that one's gone back in towards kids, but there's been a bit of a rotation coming through where the members of FURIA have moved south and BDS has slowly moved north, just narrowly avoiding each other, and Bride is the one going for the plant. Can BDS hold this angle down? Can he get the kill as the man looks to swing in? Yes, he can find one for himself. It's a 2 versus 1. Rare gets it back. The coach has got to clutch up and go big, or Rare can find 4 and end the half at a 5-1. Angle's being held and BDS gets the shutdown. There he is again, and he knows what he's done. A 4-2 half for BDS puts them in good stead for moving over to the other side.
Let's go, BDS. Big end to the round for him there. Nice 2K.
I know you
in the
felt
plant.
that. In all of our ranked stat games, you felt that.
I felt that moment. I've been in that situation, and I felt that for BDS. Glad to see him come through that. Nice cover to begin with to allow Bride to get that plant down, and then hits his shots when it matters, picks up the kill onto Rare and closes it out for BDS. They are not a million miles behind here. 2-4 on the first half. Given the situation, is not the end of the world for BDS. They can start to try to lock things down on the defense now.
Given we haven't seen FURIA on Oregon in a long time, again, it has been their go-to permaban for a good number of months now. That wasn't a bad half from them either. You know, we speak a lot about BDS, and the focus is on them. They're expected to be one of the title challengers here at this event. FURIA maybe a bit less so. But I didn't see anything there that said to me we haven't played this map very often. They looked pretty good, all things considered. It more came down to the micro moments than the overall game strategy that led to them losing a couple of rounds in that half. So, where I'm now really excited to see is how their attack shapes up, because this is where teams tend to fall apart. The attack inside, when it's all about coordination, timing, problem solving as a team, that puts a lot more stress on you than playing defense, where you can generally hold up and just play around one area of the map each and try and do your best to hold down that way. It does get a bit more complicated from here on out.
Going to be the basement defense to kick things off then, as you say. Maybe, you know, a little bit of an easier one to get them started. Nothing's going to be easy for BDS from this point forward with FURIA on the attack, but like you say, hopefully there's not verticals to worry about too much. It's just a little bit more sort of limited in those senses, at least. You know the angles that you need to hold down. Now then, FURIA not racing in towards site. 20 seconds in, they are droning. They're looking to get themselves into the building safely. They're not going to throw their lives away here. Lender's just going to be heading across the top floor with his drone, check and make sure there's no roamers, no dangers up there. And we have got a pretty cautious first 30 seconds from FURIA.
Yeah, I don't blame them either, right? Get on the drones, figure out what you got to do, because your whole strat really relies around Rare on this Capitao. You don't want to get him picked off too early, because you need those smokes for the plant. You want the fire to force these roamers or those that are sat in strong positions out of those spots. And they've run straight into a C4. Unfortunate, and then Fantasy's also taken down. So as cautious as it looked for the first 45 seconds, it very quickly fell to tatters. And now they're not going to have all the necessary pieces to start going for an execute, because really, you're looking arguably at Fantasy to be the solo pusher inside of Freezer. You'd have Lender coming down big tower stairs as his kind of side angle, and that's when you get a 3 or 4 point push coming in. Sadly, you can't do that with just 3 players on side anymore. They're going to have to strong arm their way in through Freezer, or maybe down through lobby, and that's going to be their point of ingress.
As you say, a good advantage now for BDS. Just need to try and hold on to this one. Miracle just going to be drawn into Freezer. They're trying to get down and just work an angle from anywhere they can here, Furia, but no such luck as it continues. It's BDS now. They're happy to sit down on this bottom floor. We've seen this time and time again from BDS. You know, they're not necessarily the big mobile, big roaming team. They're happy to just hold on to what they've got and lock down sites. They're going to be very difficult to prize out of this one. 1 minute left to go. Furia not able to make any impact on them as of yet. Shaco just peeking round that corner, going to be shut down by Highs there, and that gives Furia something to cling on to at least.
Yeah, I see what he was going for as well. Really wanted to find someone cheeky as they were trying to push down into Freezer, but got bit back as there was a great amount of patience being shown by Furia. 4 versus 3, make it a 3 versus 3. You can't be throwing this one away, boys. Not when you've already done the hard work. One tucked into the corner. They know that he's in so much trouble. Pistol comes out from Miracle. It's 3 kills in a row for the side of Furia. They can't even get one back. How has a 5 versus 3 come down to a 1 versus 3 as Brede on that trusty smoke has got to clutch this one out big. One more steps in. Can Brede win it? No, he can't. How have they thrown that one away? Furia with a great retake from a 3v5 into a round win.
Well played from Furia there, really able to start locking out the round towards the last minute or so. It was, like you say, a looking one for BDS almost. They had all 5 down on site, they had the angles covered, but somehow Furia get in there and managed to just crowbar them out of sight, somehow shutting them down. Now then, that really puts BDS in a tough spot now. 5-2 down, first defense lost. They're going to be heading back down to the basement, but even with a 5 versus 3, they weren't able to close it out. They're taking knock after knock at this point.
Ooh, okay. This is where it gets a little bit dicey, and you're going to have to start coming up with some ideas here. And the problem is, you got it into a 5 versus 3 and still lost the round. That's the real stinger that comes into it for BDS, and no doubt they'll be able to look at themselves and know what they messed up on in that round, you know? The swing coming in onto Freezer, not quite the best. Swinging again into Freezer about 20 seconds later, and trying to kill 2 also came back to bite you. It was great from Furia, definitely can't take that away from them, but that's not a round that BDS should be losing. They're going to try it one more time on the downstairs here and see if they can improve on what went wrong in the previous round. Almost identical comp. You've got Brede stepping across to playing on the Iruni instead of the smoke, so looking to do a little bit more work there. Maybe doubling down on the information game as well with that bulletproof camera.
Right then, we're going to have, as you say, another attempt. They're not going to get away with a cheap entry this time on the pre-placed Nitro that Alems managed to put in the damage with before, so they need to find another way, BDS, to get themselves into the round early, and that initially was looking like Renshiro hoping to pick up a nice little peak at the beginning of things, but Furia not going to expose themselves to that danger. We've got Fantasy on the knock as well. Could be an interesting play. Going to be avoiding those cameras potentially. We saw the the use of the Valkyrie Black Eye cameras just really making life difficult to begin with, at least. So that could be negated by Fantasy on the knock. They're going to come together, and he actually manages to find the kill onto Alems. That's 5 versus 4 and a nice entry for Furia as they push immediately on towards site.
It was a nice idea. Alems, I think, identified a bit too late the danger that was coming. If you see a drone there, it's very likely to be a player sat just behind it. And unfortunately for him, it was the man himself, the hitman Fantasy. Picks one back for the team. 4 versus 5 for BDS, and Furia has still got 2 minutes to play with, Tim.
Certainly do. Plenty of time to work, especially with the man advantage here. And Shiro's holding on to rear stage stairs at the moment. A lot of the focus from BDS does seem to be in that direction, but they need to make sure that they're aware of everything. Bios is looking towards the freezer, and it looks like there's going to be pressure coming from that exact direction. Fantasy's got himself down and established there now. He's just aware that there is a black eye camera. Going to take that down. That's going to just remove the information. It will announce his presence as well, so they need to just be a little bit cautious. They will be aware of him in there. 1 minute 30 left to go, and it feels like we've been playing in this round for an age, Des, as Furia are just basically at liberty to just set themselves up as and when they please here.
That's the problem, right? They're being given so much space. It's almost like after that last round, BDS are now scared of getting out there and looking to be time disruptors. Finding 2 in the early round was a big boon for them. They do sure throw it away a bit later on, but here they want to play on site and keep things a little more secure. Bios looking in for a swing onto the bottom of Freezer stairs. Slight mispositioning of the crosshair as well, not quite finding Fantasy when he was still on that corner. But things have slowed down. Fantasy has been in this spot now for what, 1:30 since he first killed a Lems? Just kind of darting around, waiting for the rest of the team to get in line, and then they'll make their play. And here they come, pushing down Laundry. The Banshee taken off the wall, and here comes the push.
Nade going to go in from Fantasy there. It will not be successful in finding a kill, but he may well be able to put his rifle to better use. Shoots one in the back, but Bios manages to get himself a double. Fantasy putting some work in, just going to use the door frame there. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, but the nade bounces back one way or another. Miracle finds one, 2 versus 2, and this is turning into a bloodbath as Renshiro and Shaiko try to take back sight. The diffuser is down cold at the minute, but there come the last 2 kills from Miracle. Furia able to get themselves onto map point.
They were going for the guy in pillar, but ended up catching the man running in front of the bomb as well. Dream start for Furia so far. 6-2 against one of the tournament favorites. I tell you what, anyone who's been tagged with that tournament favorite tag, NIP, BDS today, not having a good time.
No, really not. As you say, tough day at the office for BDS as this one continues. Furia 6-2 now. They're going to be heading up to dorms this time around. They've decided that Laundry is maybe not the site for them. 2 attempts, 2 losses is going to leave them now heading towards the top floor. But they've got to find something here, BDS. Otherwise, Oregon is going to be running away from them and running away from them quickly.
It is starting to feel that way again for Furia, a map they have banned 20 times in September. Haven't played it, they haven't won it, haven't lost it, nothing, just has not been seen. So one that has been tucked away in the back pocket and kept out for SI maybe? Sure, but also you can pin a lot of it down to the support player of Miracle, 14-3. We all talk about Fantasy, who's currently sat at 9-6, but again, look at it, it's Miracle doing a lot of the hard yards, and it was the same in that last round, getting both of those closing kills.
So heading in towards what could be our final round on Oregon here, unless BDS can manage to find something. I'm going to try to hold down the top floor, but there's a little bit of presence underneath by the looks of things as well. We've got Renshiro down there on the Goyo, just reinforcing it was rear stage, I think, underneath Attic. It was indeed. So that's going to suggest that we're maybe going to have a little bit of kitchen, a little bit of meeting presence, just to try and prevent pressure coming from the Attic side. But Furia could well completely negate that if they decide to push maybe White Stairs master bedroom at the same time.
I always find interesting with BDS is that their roam game doesn't really look like many other teams' roam game, because what they've got here is, you see it on Clubhouse a lot. If they have a roam strat, it's a Lems on Valkyrie. That's about as far as it gets. If you see a Valkyrie for them, that is we want to play in the map with information, and they get punished beautifully for him being a little too cheeky and a little bit too aggressive, overstayed his welcome and dies out to a grenade.
That is not the start that BDS wanted in this round. They're already a man down. There's 2 minutes 20 left to go. And Furia, they are putting their foot to the floor at the minute. Absolutely full speed ahead. It looks like they're going to start to pressure from double window potentially. Fantasy located underneath in showers at the minute. Could look for that White Stairs push as well. There is a real opportunity for Furia to potentially force their way into sight here. Lender is looking towards Master and Trophy. Nitro comes out. He's going to avoid that completely. He's just very aware of the shield that's being played in there, and it is Renshiro in behind. He can make a challenge potentially, but for the time being, he's just going to hold himself back. Look at the angle he's trying to find, and he gets the pixel onto Lender. Absolute beauty from Renshiro. Going to take a ton of damage along the way, and that now leaves us in a 4 versus 4.
Not a bad start. Risky again. I mean, it feels like that's kind of been baked into BDS's play so far, is they're happy to swing and go for these gunfights. Almost again like that LATAM-inspired style that I was talking about earlier on in the map. Renshiro on the move, looking down White, but they see his arm first, leaning a bit too far into that one, and Fantasy collects his second of the round. 4 versus 3 with about 70 seconds to play.
As I suggested, Fantasy looking at that White Stairs push and just opening BDS up with it allows Miracle to get in and start putting the diffuser down, but Brede takes his chance. He pops through the rotation and gets himself a kill. Shaiko with another, and if 2 can finish this round out, surely it's them. It will be Shaiko and Brede to finish the round off, and that's going to leave us now 3-6 as BDS managed to just hang on for another round.
Still a long way to go if they want to fight their way back into this. They'll need 3 rounds on the bounce to fight this through to overtime, and even then, there's no saying you'd win overtime if we get that far. Truthfully, I think I expect to see Furia pick up a win here somewhere. Whether it's in this round or whether it's going to be in the offsite, I'm not sure. We're going to try first downstairs in the basement once again, which has not been good so far, is the only way I can summarize it for BDS.
Not good at all. Now then, Laundry is going to be the attempt, as you say. It's something that they've really struggled to lock down so far. Can they do things any differently is the question for me. I feel like they maybe need to just try and get out on the roam a little bit. Nothing else is, they've tried holding on to site. Nothing else has really worked too much. Just try and mix things up. Make life difficult for FURIA. Just keep them guessing. Try and burn time. But Oregon isn't always the easiest map to do that on for the basement site.
That's it. I just worry after how the last couple of rounds have played out down here. Like the pressure that FURIA have piled inside of Freezer. I don't know. I'm not convinced, but maybe BDS can change my mind. We'll see. You got Rare stepping across to playing on something different, not the Capitao here. Instead, it's going to be onto the Twitch. I've spoke for ages about how I think Twitch is really, really good now. The fact you get the normal drone at the start, you get your 2 shock drones as well. They can jump, they're now unlimited range, they're not restricted in terms of their shooting angle. The F2 is still a decent gun. She has so much going for her. And I think we've seen her quite a bit today already, to be honest, and I'm happy with that. That more teams are trying to employ her in their lineups and make good use of them. I think it was, who was it had it banned away? It was on Cafe earlier on. Sandbox had Flores banned away against them. They turned to playing on the Twitch instead. Similar sort of vibe here for FURIA.
Going to have Lender and Fancy just stacking up. We've seen this push come in from them a couple of times. Alems is just looking to hold them down this time on that west side, as I suggested, maybe getting somebody off site to make an impact, but there will be none as Fantasy goes in, gets his 12th kill of the game so far and shuts down Alems. That removes the attempt of holding on to the mid floor that BDS were going to make. They are now exposed down in the basement. It is not going to be easy from here on in. FURIA once again, Dez have got an absolutely ton of time on their side and they can just take their time now and just unpick this defense one piece at a time.
I guess the frustrating and confusing thing is that it's Alems roaming by himself as well. I don't know if that's them trying to mitigate damage if they do lose Alems early on, but he's been picked off 2 rounds here with basically no contest coming in. It took Fantasy to charge him. In the prior round, it was a single grenade to come in. It wasn't a bother to the side of FURIA to remove him. Either I'd say commit to having someone else out there with him, stick Shaiko on the roam with him, or pull him a little bit further back and don't play him so much as a roam player, but more as a perimeter player around the site itself, because now they're in a 4 versus 5 and FURIA with 90 seconds to play. I would wager have got all the tools necessary to close this round out.
I would completely agree with you at this point. They've certainly shown round after round that they've been able to do so, and they just need to get that. Feels like that next kill, Des, that next kill, if it goes in FURIA's direction, you feel like that's the final nail in the coffin at that point for BDS in terms of their presence here on Oregon at least. Renshiro playing at pillars, needs disrupting, but FURIA stacking up, looking to get themselves into bunker quickly here. They're aware of the man potentially on elbow. The challenge is made towards Renshiro. Brede is holding on to elbow for the time being. Is he going to get aggressive here? There is an opportunity for him. He's going to just take the toxic babe canisters, try to burn some time. Bios, great kill onto Miracle. Just what BDS needed. 40 seconds left to go, and FURIA need to make sure they don't stall out here.
Absolutely not, no. If they get themselves dragged into a couple of gunfights with BDS and BDS start hitting on heads, then it's going to be frustrating. However, BDS has swung a lot recently and lost gunfights. It happens again. Rare the one stepping up, a great shot coming in from Renshiro. Shaiko follows up with another, and maybe they balance it back. Fantasy one the other way. They swing again and lose the gunfight. They just do not get to win against Fantasy today. Shaiko is in a 1 versus 2 with 15 seconds to play, and here comes the push. They don't know where he is. They've got no idea. He's sat inside a freezer here. Out he comes for the one. They've got to look for the diffuser. Going for it, finds the one down. Do you know where the second man is? Stepping over his body, but Shaiko wins it out. A big clutch to win round 10, and BDS keep themselves in it.
Shaiko cannot be allowed to win in that sort of situation. That diffuser being down was a real sticking point for FURIA there. They had no option but to go and try and retrieve it and put it down on the ground, and Shaiko played that perfectly.
I think we have a tactical timeout coming in here on the side of FURIA because they know they've got 2 rounds to work with here. They do not want to chance this game going to overtime. Take your time out, have your discussion, and let's get these next couple of rounds right on the board to close things through. Makes total sense to me.
Exactly that. You know, you need to just slow things down here. They've, at the end of the day now, lost 2 in a row to BDS. BDS starting to find a little bit of a way back into this, and you don't want that to be the case. They're back in touching distance almost. One more round and you go into 12. It's not a position that FURIA want to or imagine that they would have found themselves in, I would expect here. And you can just see Twister very animated there, getting information back to those players and just trying to pep them up, get them over the line.
For BDS, again, I'll touch on what I've mentioned a couple of times throughout most of the rounds, to be fair. It feels like Swing City. Like, they are very happily just saying, look, if they're on someone in freezer, I'm going to swing him and go for it. There's someone on blue? Even BIOS is swinging and going for it as well, and fair play to him. He's currently sat on, 5 kills, which is the same as Alems, and 1 behind what Shaiko was until he clutched out at the end. So although, you know, you look at it and go, look, he's not going to offer what Rafal does, he's still getting a couple of kills on the board throughout.
Certainly is. Now then, we're going to be heading out of that tactical timeout and back into the game here. It's going to be round number 11. FURIA find themselves 6-4 up and looking to close things out on the attack. The problem for BDS here, now that they've won 2 rounds on the defence, it leaves them going to that third site. They're going to have to try and hold on to Meeting and Kitchen, and this is not going to be easy for them. I imagine we will see a top floor presence from BDS as we did from FURIA. FURIA, they need to get in there and clear them out quickly. They really don't want BDS becoming entrenched here on that top floor. Yeah,
FURIA's defense of this site was brilliant. They were just stupidly aggressive. It felt like BDS were attacking into kids and dorms because they were just gated inside a bedroom, gated inside a trophy, and just couldn't push any further through. So if BDS can get even marginally aggressive compared to that, just ever so slightly, and give some of that on the top floor and slow FURIA down, that'll be a fantastic start. But we've got to see where the attack starts for FURIA. Do they look up towards Big Tower and try and get their way through stage, or do they worry about clearing top floor first and then work their way down? Because you don't strictly have to get full top floor control. If you get control of Big Tower and open up tier 3 to get control of Attic, you can just plant inside a meeting on the below because you're watching the hatch from above and there's no worry about it from there. And looking at their lineup, again, they've gone back into playing with the Capital, dropped the Twitch away, which just screams to me again, we want to force you to move with those fire bolts, and we want to plant under the cover of smoke using those smoke bolts.
Gonna have Ranchiro all the way down in the basement. Certainly need to keep an eye on him, and FURIA need to make sure that they're locating the Mozzie, because there is the potential for denial with a Nitro from down there should they try to plant on the rear stage. The hatch has been open, so definitely need to be aware of that. Alems is going for it here, and he's gonna get himself one. A nice opener onto Lender as Alems just puts a stick of dynamite into this round.
Third time lucky for Alems, I guess, after the last 2 rounds, dying early as the entry with no game back on the other side. Make sure to make it work this time. And a pretty interesting kill to get, the Thatcher being taken down here. That was their go-to reliance to negate the Mute and the Mozzie that's going to slow them down across the top floor, across the site itself. That intel game is going to be a lot more restricted now for the side of FURIA, so a good and great first pick for him to find.
It really is. And as you say, FURIA just need to be a little bit alert there, because BDS, you know, their backs to the wall here. They're in a difficult situation, and for them, why not roll the dice? Why not take the chance to see if they can get themselves something, some way of fighting back into this one? BIOS is going to be trying to hold down Attic for the time being. It looks like the rear stage wall will be open, but FURIA, they need to deal with those vertical elements before they think about going in and trying to put the diffuser down.
Wall being opened up here about that 100-second mark into the round. Great shot from Miracle onto Alems, who again chancing his luck and trying to go for a kill, but it only comes back to bite him. Miracle moving up to 15 kills on the map. Not a number you normally see attributed to anyone except Fantasy, but a big delivery so far. Now all he's got to do is deliver that diffuser into sight and get it down, whilst Fantasy gives some pressure in from dining side.
Fantasy, as you say, just looking to try and apply some pressure, but he's got Breedy to try and battle through. BIOS is going to take some damage up on the top floor. He's going to find himself a kill, though. I'll tell you what, he's had some big moments so far today as BIOS, and some important kills to stop pushers. That one's going to be on to highs, and it brings us now into a 4v3, and BDS are doing a great job at the minute of holding down this third choice site.
MP5K man's taken out of my own heart at this raid as well, but in they come. Breedy finding one onto Miracle. Fantasy not pushing in at the same time into security. He goes Breedy with a couple of wicked shots, and Rare now finds himself in a 1 versus 3 after shutting down the terror that was Breedy. He's got a lot of time to to play with here. Diffuser not in his hands and 10 seconds to play. Bias can just sit pretty upstairs. There is nothing I don't think that Rare's going to be able to do, which means, Ace, we're going to all 12.
It certainly looks that way. Rare manages to collect that diffuser and tries to put it down, but it's Bios ultimately to drop down the hatch. Perfect time, perfect kill, and that is going to be 5 rounds now that BDS managed to accumulate. And as you say, they're pushing us to 12, but more importantly, Des, they've just managed to successfully defend every single site, so they now get to go back to one of those sites again. They get to go to whichever one they felt most on top of to try and get themselves into overtime. This is an unbelievable fight back.
Really thought it was done and dusted. You know, heart felt heavy. I was disappointed that we weren't seeing them really step up and go for a war, but they've made a war of it the later on the game has gone. Now LMs is stepping away from playing on things like the Valkyrie. Again, that info game has been massive for them, but wants to get himself probably a little bit further back on the roam. He made it work in the prior round, but at least here he leaves something behind for the team. Those salvation stations, as we call them. We saw a triple stack earlier on in Clubhouse to make sure any roamer coming back to site was fully juiced up back to full HP. I'm keen to see where he drops them down here, whether they are all deployed together or if they're scattered around the top floor. On the top floor, it's going to be scattered out one by one. Fair enough. In fact, no, they are kind of together. They're there.
They are. As you say, it was certainly an interesting tactic that we saw earlier on. I'm sure we maybe something we'll see picked up occasionally by others. But
I love this, by the way. See, there's so many different ways that you can play around this wall. You can completely reinforce it off. You can leave one side soft, one side reinforced, like they're doing here. Leave the whole thing soft if you really want. The main reason why you'd want to reinforce it off is because you want someone to play inside a pit on the other side where Shaiko is now. The thing is, you've got a shield to play behind here, and you can, from here, challenge and kind of like lean in towards the armory stairs doorway and challenge anyone that wants control of Trophy. You can even play for a short time inside a Trophy itself behind the shield. It is a Vulcan shield, so as soon as a grenade comes singing in, Renshiro is going to bail his way back in towards site, has got the support of Shaiko to make sure that he's covered. It makes it a little bit harder to contest the actual Trophy side of things itself, so let's see how things play out. Kind of gives you a second line of defense, as it were.
Certainly does now then.
Oh,
We're 30 seconds into the action phase. We've got a detonation, but we've got no damage, Des.
a real smart thing they've done. There is a mute jammer on the stairs. They can't get a drone downstairs to see who's lurking down there watching that angle. So for all intents and purposes, FURIA are mostly blind unless they can get one in through the east doorway in green and use that to give them information. But even that might be jammed off.
Lem's just making his way underneath. He's certainly proved a nuisance in the last couple of rounds, able to have an impact, but let's see if he can do it again. He's going to be heading out towards the small tower. He gets picked up on the drone, and that could be crucial here, as Fantasy is trying to work in from that side again. We saw last time he used the showers, he got himself up white stairs, he found kills inside of the round, so this time BDS just trying to have that presence over there to prevent him being able to do the same thing, but not quite sticking it quite as much, which I think is right, because if I remember rightly, he did find a kill underneath last time.
A flurry of drones charging their way here into kitchen downstairs. Might be a sign that FURIA want to make use of these nades from below. They've got a buck to play upwards. We said about BDS, they missed that in the first half. They only had the sledge, but they've got the buck. They've got 4 nades on side. They could look to threaten a member or two from BDS from below here. A couple, if not 2 or 3 of them, are in safe spots, mind you, playing on concrete or not playing on site at all. So really, it's only Brede that was kind of under threat, and even he's now hightailed away out towards pit.
Lender just looking to try and get underneath. He's got the book, he can open things up, but he's not just sure of his safety, Des. He's watching that green corridor door as tightly as he can, and he starts sort of tentatively opening things up, but you can just see he was conscious of the potential there, and it is Ilems who manages to find the kill through the soft wall there. Lender knew there was going to be a challenge from somewhere, but he just didn't seem to know where. That's going to leave us now in a 5 versus 4.
It's building up to that point. You always say the next kill's the big one, really. A great nade from Fantasy does chip away at Shaiko, doesn't kill him, but enough to put the scares, the heebie-jeebies up him, I guess you could say. Harry's finding one onto Ilems, but it's a trade back the other way, a 4 versus 4, and only 20 seconds to play. This is going to be a mad crush in the dying seconds. Either the map is over now, or we career through to overtime. Bios holding on this angle, waiting for Fantasy to come pushing up. It's a bit of an intimidating opponent, but he's waiting for it at this point. Wants to step in, he's on the deck. Bios wins it out. That's 2 kills in for BDS. A 3 versus 2. Are they going to have time here? All they have to do is hold because the diffuser is down. They're going to be out of time. And guess what, Tim? We're going into overtime.
Certainly are, Des. For the first time, for us at least at SI, we will be seeing those additional rounds to decide a winner here. And boy, have BDS fought their way back into this one. Fantastic from them, and they are stretching Furia. I don't know what's happened to the Brazilian side, but they have just lost 4 rounds in a row. It was 6-2, Des. They were cruising, and they just haven't been able to get themselves over the line.
Sonics earlier on who found themselves choking a 6-3 on Oregon. Is Oregon going to be our map of comebacks? We've had a 6-3, a 6-2, brought back into overtime. BDS haven't won it yet, but they get to start on the defensive side where both teams have found the greatest advantage so far.
Yep.
And not just that, but BDS have just won 4 defensive rounds in a row. What's the 5th at that point? You're in that mindset of being the defender. You know what it is you're doing. There's no kind of shaking off the nerves of the first round after the half swap, for example, and getting used to, oh yeah, someone's got to do this, someone's got to do that, or whatever. They're going to be ready for this.
They certainly are, and it's a dangerous spot for Furia, as you say, beaten up over the last couple of rounds and struggling to get themselves into it. They really need to try and just get things locked down here sooner rather than later. BDS able to go back into the defense. They're going to head down to Laundry. The last time we saw them defend this was back in round 10. They were able to get it locked down, but that was after a couple of failed attempts in round 7 and 8. So Furia have certainly shown us a pedigree to be able to win on this site on the attack, but they need it now more than ever. Breeder setting himself up inside of Elbow here. He will be holding on to that position, no doubt. Shaiko in the aforementioned Shaiko spot up near pillars. He's all prepping BDS here for that potential bunker-sided push, but we've seen a lot of freezer pressure as well today.
I've piled a lot of praise on Miracle so far for his kill numbers, and a couple of times I mentioned Bias. I'm going to do it again. He's sat at 8 kills, very much in the mix of things and playing great. No complaints at all from this side. Alems, again, almost getting tagged out on the roam. I don't know if it's just he's so keen to kind of hightail it back to site and he leaves it a little bit too late. But again, in that second half, he was caught a few times by Furia early in the round and almost lost his life again then.
Fantasy then looking to push down into Freezer. As I said, it's something that we've seen done a number of times. It's either Fantasy or Shaiko that are usually pushing down these stairs and looking to aggress from this side. For the time being, there's nobody in there to try and prevent that. Elems has taken a little bit of damage along the way. Bios just needs to be careful. He's going to rotate himself into the bomb chassis, but looking at Fantasy's position, he was only seconds away from getting himself caught on that rotate.
Fantasy pushing down into Freezer really reminds me of when BDS played this map. Shaiko does it. Oh, that was filthy. Gross, man. You see Shaiko do the same as what I was going to say. He'll always push down Freezer solo and do a lot of work. And then he hits a shot like that onto Alems, who, as I mentioned earlier on, already lost half his HP. But Fantasy, that was a snap and a half onto the head of Alems. 5 versus 4. This is exactly what they want out of an attacking half.
Certainly is, and looking to really push on now. Furia, you can see Fantasy trying to get any angle that he can onto Bios here. He knows where the man is playing. Renshiro looking to maybe try and back him up with a little bit of support. But as BDS start to move around, that might be where the cracks start to show and Furia can get in and do some damage. Bios is going to take some damage as a nade explodes near enough to take a few hit points away from him, but not going to take his life. Shaiko has just stepped up as well into Freezer now to try and prevent that side of the push.
I like this more. Last time here they were swinging into Freezer to go for the challenge. They've actually got a shield to play inside of it, and with both grenades coming out of Fantasy in towards Bios, they can't comfortably clear that shield. Sorry, it's 1 and 1. So 1 from Highs, 1 from Fantasy. They've still got nades to play with. Not the end of the world. Point retracted.
The pressure is building on multiple sides now, though, as Lender's got himself down to the bottom of Laundry stairs. He's trying to play into that shield. Fantasy finds Shaiko. Fantasy finds Bios. That's 3 in the round. He's going to be downed here, though, and Renshiro manages to get the kill, but it's looking bleak for BDS as Breeder tries to deploy a canister. He will be unsuccessful. The kills come in, and Furia managed to get themselves the first round they need, and now they move on to the defense where, let's be honest, they looked a lot better than they did on the attack.
I back him to take this now. I think going into the defensive round, they can probably walk away the winner. BDS, given how their attacking half went earlier on, not super convinced we're going to see anything special coming out of them, but You never know. Maybe that second half has motivated them a little bit more towards a win here. It's going to be a laundry and supply take. And looking back at the issues that we saw when they were attacking this site in the first half, it was misdroning. It was lazy information gathering for the most part. Not checking on the player that was on highway, dropping down E-box and being killed by that exact player. One round, BDS got stung out in a 1v1 against the Clash, so why wouldn't Highs go back to playing on it again, sacrificing the information gain coming in from the Valkyrie and instead leaning on the Clash. This is where BDS have really got to tighten things up. You cannot let the same mistakes come rinsing back through, else it'll be 8-6 and FURIA take map 1.
Could be, and that is not ideal for BDS. This, of course, being their map choice. Heading next into FURIA's map choice, which will be Bank, and certainly not going to be easy for them if they are one map down. Now then, we've got that Clash on board, Des. Highs has brought it along again. It was pivotal previously for FURIA in a defense, if you remember. It was effectively a 1v1 for BDS down there on bottom floor, but he just could not fight against the Clash. It was too difficult to be done. So FURIA, they've got themselves set up pretty much the same as they did last time around. It was very much a freezer-sided push from BDS when attacking onto this site, with a little bit of attention paid out to Bunker. Maybe not quite enough, or there should have been more or none at all, basically. Elems this time supported by Shaiko and BDS, so it looks like it is going to be a Bunker-sided push with a little bit more sort of oomph to it.
Haven't seen a drone come through yet. It's about to walk face first. Oh, no way does Shaiko find that. That is a massive misstep by Fantasy. Just getting himself on the deck, didn't have the shots ready in time, and Shaiko, I don't think, had any idea he was there. The attention being soaked up by the Clash, they hadn't droned him out. But gets stung. Shaiko with a good reaction time shuts down the key man on the other side. Those 17 kills counted for naught in this round, and a great nade comes singing through.
Shaiko just absolutely dismantling him, and that's what you've always got to remember with this BDS side. They have the players who can have those moments and can just turn things around. I think this is going all the way, Des.
They've already lost a 5 versus 3 before, though, let's not forget. Yeah, and that was on the attack for FURIA as well. Here on defense, maybe it's a bit of a different story, but don't write FURIA off yet. We've already seen them do it once. They've lost the Clash, which stings a little bit. They've still got 3 smoke canisters to play behind, so they have the tools at their disposal to make this work.
Lender just trying to hold down pillars for the time being. They know that all the pressure is pretty much coming from the Bunker side. They've got the electrical hatch now being opened, which is not going to help matters at all, because they've been able to keep playing around pillars and try to hold them out of Bunker. But as we can see, the reinforcement now going up on elbow. It's being abandoned, Des. They're shutting up shop and they're pulling back deeper into the site here. FURIA just trying to hold on, but with 1 minute 20 left to go, there's a lot of time to hold on for.
And still 2 smoke canisters in back pocket. I just don't think even that's going to really work for you. That's what, 20 seconds being burnt max if you space them out? I don't know, it's still 40 seconds of playtime that BDS can utilize here. They are, however, slowly running out of information. 2 drones on the field. They're even starting now to go for swings and pre-fires to hope to find one, and it works out for a Lems. Down goes Lender. Rare and Miracle clearly can't hold on just yet. Miracle, you've got to go huge. You have done all maps so far, but you've got to find 5.
This is likely to be a step too far, I'd imagine. He looks to find the first. Toxic Babe canister goes out, but now they know exactly where he is. It is a big problem. They've got the elbow wall opened. Here comes the peak. He manages to find Renshiro. Can he get himself a second? The diffuser's going down. No, Lems pops around and takes us into round number 15.
Both attacking rounds being won, and BDS get to go on the defense. Do they repeat a downstairs defense? Because it has been catastrophic for them so far. Only winning there once, I want to say.
I will double check that for you, Des. On the laundry, lost twice, won once.
There we go.
Well, lost 3 times, sorry. Yes. I didn't include the overtime round.
Yes. I'm not optimistic for that. Guys.
Go to dorms.
Guys. No, please go dorms. It's too late.
The thing is, funnily enough for BDS, they won dorms to get them into overtime. Round 12, they got dorms locked down. Round 9, they got dorms locked down. They've won it twice.
I don't understand, Tim.
It was the round that turned things around and sent them into 4 in a row. It was the round that took them into overtime, and they're not going to use the site.
There will be big questions asked if they now lose this round. You know, you go 1 and 4 on a particular site. It's not a good look. Let's see, though. Maybe they've got some different ideas. The key thing for me early in the round is going to be a Lems. We keep on speaking about and getting picked off early in the round or losing hit points, whatever it might be. I think here they're trying to rein him in, because where Bride has played Aruni down here previously, that's now changing, and it's Bride going onto the smoke, sticking on that, and Alems is going across onto the Aruni. So maybe it's more of a, look, mate, please just stay on site, you know, give us information, give us something to go off here at the very least. But I want to see him not getting picked out too early. If he can get a good entry kill, all right, cool, all is forgiven. But that's a big if, and we've seen that fail as much as it's worked out for them in this game.
Absolutely. This will be the decider then. We head into the action phase of round number 15, and it wouldn't be day one at the Six Invitational, Des, if we didn't have at least one map go to round number 15. BDS and FURIA delivering for us, and BDS going to have to try to find a way to hold on to this bottom floor. 3 losses and only 1 win down here during this matchup. FURIA, they've got to be feeling confident coming in. We've got Lender and Fantasy stacking up again on that side of the map, in through the small tower, down the freezer stairs. That is what they've done every time. There's no resistance from BDS up there this time.
I think I'm blind to it. They lost 3 drones in the prep phase, or at least in very close proximity to it. For the last 15 seconds at least, it is red 6. You only have 9 normal drones because of Twitch, so they have lost 3 somewhere along the way. That's not the most ideal start.
Not at all. Now then, we can see this setup that we've got downstairs. Alem's just getting on the bulletproof cam there, making sure that everything is as it should be, that it can see what he needs to see. And then it looks like BDS are now set. Renshiro, he's going to be playing in at pillars, supported by Shaiko. Bios is all the way in the front, looking to just hold off from Freezer and Laundry. Never an easy position to be in with that potential challenge coming from 2 directions.
I like the small change as well with the laser gate position on the soft wall where Bios is. They can't as easily just throw nades in it. And there's also Amai on the other side. They really want to keep him alive down here because he ate 2 nades in the last round. Didn't die to either, but it's still a spot where if they remove Bios, this south side of the map becomes pretty hairy to defend because you've got a highway and off towards the right-hand side, the rotate to then hold it down. It's generally doable, but just one worth noting.
Lem's in support of Bios to try and just keep him in that position. We've got the electrical hatch open. Diffuser's just going to change hands so that they are ready for the potential plant later on. I think it's actually going to sit on the floor for the time being, just next to that hatch, which would suggest the possible plan is a hatch drop if they're going to leave it in that area. Now then, the laundry hatch is going to be opened as well. So FURIA looking to try and get these defenders moving inside of sight, but they need to get them moving soon, Des. 50 seconds left to go, and no real impact on the BDS players from FURIA just yet.
I was going to say, I'm not feeling super confident, to be honest. They're basically completely out of information. Bias has got a Mozzie drone on the south side as well. He's got the laser gate with my magnets, everything to keep him locked in, so they have to go towards the north, and surely BDS know about this. Here we go, smoke coming in. The drop could follow any second now. They're holding the trigger at least for a second, probably for another nade to come raining through. There it is, but now that's done, the drop should happen. Do they know about it? He's going to swing on it. What a shot coming out from Highs. 5 versus 4. FURIA are looking to go for the kill. They're stepping into sight, but Shaiko finds one back. Fantasy another. Highs hits the deck. Shaiko on a swing, sees one up close, but they found it out. It comes down to Bios to clutch out in the 1 versus 2. He's got to hold it all. He can't do it. FURIA take round 15 and win Oregon.
BDS, they can't feel too badly about that, Des. What a performance they've just put up there. FURIA ultimately able to get themselves over the line, but BDS playing with Bios as standing, they've got to feel like, you know, yeah, we got them all the way to the wire there. We made their lives as difficult as possible, and we take them into map 2 with at least the thought in their head that this is a team we can't just walk over.
No, and I will touch on again the key difference maker in that game, a player that you wouldn't normally mention, Miracle. What a few rounds he's had in that game. What, 15 kills to his name? Prolific performance on Oregon. They've got to go and repeat that in map 2 on Bank, though.
Yep, they certainly do. To be honest, they need to find better. They need to be closing rounds out. You know, you can't let a team back in it from 6-2 ahead. You might get away with it today, given the fact that Bios is standing in, but you're not going to get away with it tomorrow. You're not going to get away with it the day after. They need to make sure that they lock in those games out. It
won't follow you forever, that's for sure. However, they get a chance to redeem themselves on map 2 and make a statement for Furious performances here at the Six Invitational 2022. We'll go to a quick break, and when we come back, map 2 will be underway. Welcome back to the Six Invitational, where we're here with BDS versus FURIA. And if you missed it, if you blinked, you would have missed it. It was 8-7 on Oregon. FURIA taking it out in overtime through what has been a very interesting back and forth game. Now we step into Bank, which historically has been BDS's favorite map. They have a 6-1 record on it since the 1st of September of last year. So needless to say, it's a pretty hot favorite of theirs, Tim.
Yeah, it certainly is. We would expect a good performance out of them. Like you say, just coming in here, they've got a good record on there, good history. They're going to be looking to close this out now.
Absolutely. A 2-0 would be a wonderful start for FURIA, who many kind of look at and say, that one-man team, it's all about fantasy, but Miracle really stepped up on Oregon, dropping 15 kills or so himself, 16 at the end of it, as you now look at the score on your screen. Prolific performance for a support player.
It certainly is. Like you say, just seemed to find some wind, some energy there that really did set him up for a great performance on Oregon. If FURIA can get more like that out of him, this is a FURIA team where we've looked at them and we've said when fantasy gets kills, things go well, but we need to see more out of the other four. We need them backing him up, and that was certainly the case in that round.
Absolutely. On the other side for BDS, sure, they are down without Rafal at the moment. We don't know the full reason behind that. We know that Bias, their coach, is stepping in. Old Xbox player as well, definitely at the top level, has been there before, and we saw some nice shots from him, dropping 9 kills across the map. It was far from a bad performance from him. But we know this is not going to be BDS at full strength, as we might see them later on into the tournament.
Absolutely. Like you say, FURIA for me is the one to focus on at the minute. They're the one that have got the full roster there. We can learn a little bit about exactly what is going on with them. We can see how they play, and there's a concern there about them closing out the games. That much is for sure. It's not going to be easy if they keep doing that, especially against full strength teams. They can't go from a situation of being 6-2 behind and allowing teams to get back into it. They've got to be able to close out those important rounds. They've got to be able to shut it down and get the games finished.
Alrighty, as mentioned, Bank is this next map. If we require a third, it will be on Villa, which was a really spicy choice because when I looked at how things have shaped down for these two teams, Villa is their most hated map. Neither team like it. It's very much so at the bottom of their preference order, except for FURIA, who I think had Oregon down there. It was like 20 bans for, 3 against, not played it in the last 5 months, but Villa is sat there quite comfortably in 6th. So for both teams, it was kind of the remains of what's left over once all the rest of the banning is done. It will be really interesting to see how they both shake down there, but they've got to get through Bank first. BDS do at least. If FURIA can win this one, it's a 2-0, the perfect dream start to their day.
Certainly will be. Like you say, I'm sure looking at this opening matchup, they might not have expected to be in a position where they could take all 3 points, but they are certainly staring down the barrel of that right now as they head towards Bank. They're going to be keen to just get inside of the map, I think, and get things started. They don't want to let things cool down. Fantasy was, as we saw, going very, very well in that last map. They just want to get straight back in there, get into things, and start really mixing it up, I would have thought now, FURIA.
I love the new BDS jerseys, by the way.
They're very nice.
It's so clean. It's like the logo in the middle. Like, not the actual icon, but like the actual team BDS part.
We're getting some really good branding across the teams. When we see, we've had the share skins come out as well. There's obviously been a lot of focus in towards that side of stuff over the last 12 months, and yeah, it's been great to see.
I had this wonderfully awkward moment when I went into the bathroom earlier on, and Canadian was there as well, obviously using the toilet as well. And I said to him, "This is non-awkward way to say this. While both here using the bathroom, your jerseys are really cool." And he was like, "Oh, thanks, man." I was just having a lovely chat, and he was like, "Yeah, they're really cool. Especially when there's a lot of them together. You feel like you're in space because there's so many of them. They're like a really cool Galaxy-esque sort of effect to them. They look super slick. Like if you've watched the game earlier on in the B stream, you would have seen those jerseys. But man, they are cool.
Certainly are.
All for the branding game.
But does it get you rounds in the map? That is the question,
Not
isn't
strictly.
it? I mean, maybe it does. Maybe you feel extra cool, so you go in there nice and confident. And
who are DZ playing on the B stream? Can you remember?
Sorry,
they're playing now, aren't they? DZ on the B stream. Who are they against?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot. I've only focused on
Elevate.
Elevate. There we go.
That's the one. So many games to remember.
There really is. And obviously, we focus on the ones that we're going to be casting, that we're going to be working. It is on the ticker at the bottom as well.
Beautiful. We will be getting into game in just a moment. Don't worry, you haven't come back to a caster press start button. Although, Tim, would you do the honours and press the start button for me?
There we go. I've just pressed it, Des, and we're going to be loading in any second now. We can see the players getting themselves ready. We're heading over to Bank. It's going to be BDS versus FURIA on map number 2 here. Still, socials favouring BDS here, potentially. I don't know. I think, you know, maybe obviously. I think that one's done right before the match starts. I'm not sure if we do it per map. But as it stands, FURIA are 1-0 up. They've already won one on Oregon and now are heading into Bank.
I love a sledge ban here. This gets targeted against Kavana a lot in EUL as well, where Benjamaster will normally pick up the sledge and play it on this map. You started seeing more and more bans of it coming in, and here it makes total sense, knowing again that Renshiro will play the sledge, that we've seen Bride stepping across on that sledge as well, that Lems can play it. You know, there's 3 sledge players on this team. Taking it away is never going to be a bad thing, especially with all the vertical work that you can do from the top floor. Finka also coming out as well, so no Thatcher ban once more. The Kaid going to get taken away regardless. Teams just not wanting to deal with that. Mira going to be our final ban. This does mean, Tim, that Hibana is open. She is a very, very common pick on this map, especially when attacking downstairs, because there are, what, 4 hatches to get opened up? That's exactly when you want the Queen of Hatches, who can use 4 pellets per burst. She has 18 in total. And if you can do a bit of quick maths, that means 4 of those potential bursts onto hatches can come in, and you can get them open very, very easily. And that explains why Lems is going straight across onto that pick.
So round 1 is going to see us down in the basement. Lockers and CCTV will be the first defensive site for FURIA. Changing things up a little bit, Des. Obviously, we spoke on Oregon how BIOS had been taking the Thermite and Bride had rotated around and they changed things up. This time, as you said, you know, we're going to have BIOS moving away from that and just mixing things up a little bit. And maybe BDS just feel that they can find a little bit more oomph, a few more rounds with Bride back in his favoured role.
I do find it interesting because I thought Lems would have been the one playing like the 0 here, playing the flex role as he often has done, you know. He took that role away from Renshiro, so Renshiro became the go-to Zofia player, and you had Lems generally being on soft breach, so playing things like the Buck and the Sledge. And we asked him why that was, and he said ultimately it's so that he's more in the thick of things and can IGL in the moment, which is interesting because TSM have just moved their IGL out of that role because they were saying it's too hectic, you've got too much to do, you can't properly call. So while one team goes out of that mentality, another one steps into it. But I really thought we might see BIOS going in towards playing a more supportive role on, say, the Hibana, and you'd see a Lems at the very least potentially going on to either the Buck or the 0 role with Renshiro then filling the gap, but this is the call they've made.
So 5, we come in, action phase begins. And BDS, they are on the attack. Renshiro heading straight onto the windows to look at getting up onto that top floor clearance. Going to work across and work their way down. It's going to be, as we say, attacking into the basement. It's going to be that Lockers site. We need to try and find any roamers that are out there. I'm just having a look around. We've got Fantasy, I think, up on the top floor at the moment for FURIA. Other than that, they are sort of further down into the map. Fantasy not wanting to really commit too much to that either. There's a potential challenge coming into him from towards Janitors there, but he's going to step back away from it and look more towards main lobby and just try and maybe find himself an encounter with BIOS here.
Knowing when to retreat from a roam, I think, is arguably the most underrated skill in the game. Like, look at the last map with how often Lems are getting caught up by being too far. And it's not that he doesn't know, just in that case, he was overstaying his welcome, whereas Fantasy there has dipped away at a good time. He's took a few shots and walked straight into the sightline coming out of BIOS, who lands a critical shot. Again, a coach subbing in, bringing down the top fragger on the other team. That's a very big thank you you'll be giving to him later.
Well, this is it. You know, we said that he'd had a couple of impactful kills in the last map on Oregon, and this time the impact continues as he's now starting to go in there and get entry kills as well. He's really having a big moment here for BDS, and it's exactly what they need now. Miracle stepping up the blue stairs, trying to get aggressive on towards that deployable shield. Renshiro just going to hold the angle up at the top there. BDS will need to deal with these blue stairs at some point potentially, as we would expect them still to be pushing towards server as BIOS steps up onto that side of the map as well. Lems is still working on the hatches, but with 2 minutes gone, BDS have made reasonable progress on the mid floor here and will look to potentially soon start thinking about that execute.
Absolutely. Plenty of time still to work with. I remember the BDS in the old days on maps like Clubhouse would be left with like 70 seconds to execute with it. It'd be like, where on earth have they found all this time? But it was because they were so good at getting control of the areas, the map they needed to then start thinking about the execute. Bank's a bit of a different beast. It's much bigger. There are plenty more hidey holes for roamers to sit in. There are more stairways to work with, for example. 3 of them to be precise. Here we are and trying to get a lovely little alley-oop down through the hatch out and towards Garage, but can't quite find the player who dips away. Here comes Highs up on the flank. Can they get the shutdown? He finds 2. That's one way to shut it down. A big flank coming out from Highs, and this could be lights out for BDS as Lender also finds another. The attack has been shut down before it can even begin.
Breeder just searching to try and find something to steady the ship here, but as you say, the attack has been nullified at this point. He's going to take a drop. He's going to go straight in to the gun of Lender. With seconds left to go, it was the only option, and that's going to be FURIA closing out their first defense.
Just a big hit on the flanks there as well. Like, they gave everything to BDS, said, look, you want to get map control? It's all yours. You want to start thinking about the execute? It's all yours. You want these hatches? Not a problem. Then with about 20 to 25 seconds on the clock, they make their move. Lender in one place, Highs in another. There is no flank watch coming through at the time, and it's an easy closeout, as you're seeing in here. Just, again, really good. And all that knowing that you have a 0 on side. Only 2 cameras got deployed rather than all 4. They have the drones out on the field. That really is a bit of a critical error coming in from BDS, to be honest with you, that they should have dealt with a long time back.
Going to be heading up to the top floor this time around, FURIA. From the bottom to the top, after picking up that first defensive round, it's going to be CEO Office. Now then, we can see they brought the Echo along with them. Always a fascinating operator to keep an eye on. Fantasy is going to be playing him, but that might just take Fantasy out of the round a little bit in some ways. He didn't get any kills in the first one, but it is an operator that we're looking to get into those gunfights potentially. So playing on the Echo, it just pulls him back a little bit. It doesn't allow him to be aggressive in the same way.
Yeah, you got Lender and Highs playing that role, right? And we saw them on the flank in the prior round doing exactly that. So here he's more supportive. Me and you have spoken a number of times about how yokai drones are being used more aggressively now. You poke them up through drone holes for a quick second to see what's going on. You hop them up through hatches on maps like Clubhouse. You basically use it to drone in your roamers and help them get kills. It can be really, really impactful. So we'll keep a close eye on that and see if Highs is playing off the back of Fantasy's yokai drones, or if it's completely wrong and they're just going to use them on site.
So we get into the action phase. The top 4 clearance not going fantastically well last time around.
He's got both yokais still in back pocket and he's trying to peek onto the door.
Well, I said coming in, didn't I? You know, you've got Fantasy on the Echo, maybe not the best sort of player to be putting on there because he is that naturally sort of aggressive player. He's going to look to take gunfights and he's, as you say, peeking the double door on Square Skylight to begin the round. He's going to deploy those gadgets at least. If nothing else, Fantasy, get them out of your pocket, get them into the map.
He's got one out there that is tucked inside the B site, just in that northwest corner. The other one's still there, mind you. Would ideally prefer it out to feed a bit of information to the rest of the team, and sure enough, it will finally get deployed in the same spot as the other one. 2 drones on top of each other then.
5 versus 5. Fantasy looking to take the shots out through towards the Square Skylight there, just through the soft wall. They've not managed to get the breach off yet, haven't BDS. Just looking to challenge on towards Janitors for the time being and prevent Miracle being able to peek around this corner and cause them any problems. Highs has lost his shield. Shaiko almost lost his life. He's been down. Fantasy taking just long-range pot shots here. I'm not sure if Shaiko's in a position where he can be collected, but certainly seem to be taking the time about it if that was the case. Alems is on low health as well. Pressure mounting from Stock and from Square Skylight's side. Things not looking good for BDS right now.
Alems is really fearful of a jump out of Stock because they have no control in there, and the fact that he's having to hold the angle says to me they haven't even got a drone inside there, but his patience is rewarded as Fantasy comes off those yokais, hightails it out from Banana, out towards Stock, out the window, and Alems collects the kill. Shaiko back on his feet, and it's a 4 versus 5 for FURIA. They've got to hold on for another 60 seconds yet, Tim.
Certainly do. Lender just holding down that long angle now. It was Fantasy earlier, as you say, just replaced him in that position, just showing the importance of it to FURIA. Gets himself out onto the balcony, is just going to prevent any attempt to potentially repel inside of the site. It's Breeder with diffuser in hand who needs to to get inside here somehow and look to close things down, but he's just about going to start breaching that wall. I believe we can hear the exothermic charge just detonating there in the background, so that should give them access. Rare, however, finds a Lems, and with 30 seconds left to go, it's time to think about getting this diffuser down. Shaiko has been picked up. He's pushing in with 20 health, but it's only going to take one bullet to take him down, and in a 4 versus 4, this all favours FURIA right now with 20 seconds left to go. 2 men on the rappel, and it's looking difficult for BDS to get inside a site. They haven't dealt with Lender, and Rare is able to move around the back. That is the round as far as FURIA are concerned. There's no option but for the rappel to come in. It's BIOS all alone looking to get that diffuser. Seconds left to go. It was a matter of time until he ran into somebody, and that is going to be the round.
Second round in a row that BDS gets slammed on the flank. This time it's Rare pushing up from Janitor. It's almost like FURIA are just playing the patience game and saying, if you guys want to come and try and execute, then please do go for it. But at the moment BDS pulled the trigger, at this point, the 15-second mark, that is when the sting comes through. The smokes get deployed, Rare swings out, finds 2 kills. There will probably be questions asked of that player that was just inside the double door. He really should have been protecting the man who was trying to get the wall opened up. I'm pretty sure it was Bredo just got it opened up and dropped the smokes down. You're expecting cover from that player, and the cover simply wasn't given, unfortunately.
No, it wasn't. As you said, BDS got to a point whereby they sort of got square skylight control. They had the men on the windows. They'd looked and got the wall open, and it was just that next step that seemed to elude them. BDS just couldn't get Brede in to get that diffuser down, which is a little bit unusual for the French side. We would normally expect them to be capable of doing so, but it was a tough one for them, and we can just see now, I think they're having a little tactical timeout.
They are, but no one's talking. All of them are just sat there inside. Now, I mean, that's the first word I've seen BIOS say since this timeout came in. And I thought at first it was a Lems talking, but he was having a drink of water. So I was like, who's talking? Like, where's the conversation coming from?
Maybe they just felt towards the end of that round that they needed a breather. They needed to slow things down. So they just called a timeout and give themselves at least a little bit of thinking time individually to focus on their roles and exactly what is going on.
I'm confused. I am very confused. I'll ask BIOS later because I'm curious to know what went on in this tactical pause, but the tactical pause has elapsed. As we can hear screaming, that's likely Dark Zero and likely Troy having an absolute field day by the sounds of it.
Would have expected so.
Or would have come to expect.
He has form.
Yes, he has a reputation that precedes him.
Certainly does.
Has to live up to that. Let's get into round number 3 then. Staff and open area going to be where we step into this time around, and I want to see if we're not going to see Lightning Strike 3 times. It's already done so twice, and that never normally happens. The blanks in both rounds from FURIA have been impactful and round-ending. BDS needs to be better at holding down those flanks. Even when they've had the 0 on side, it clearly hasn't helped them all that much. They're going to try it once again here. They've even got a Lems moving across onto the IQ. Maybe they feel those black eyes is what's informing these flanks coming in and think, okay, we need to shut down the information game, and that's why you're seeing it coming out.
Exactly that. Like you say, we say time and time again how important the information game is, and just feeling obviously like they need to deal with it. Now then, we're going to be heading in towards the action phase very soon. We've got the Maestro on board this time. We've actually seen Maestro banned out quite a lot so far today, Des, like you say, leaning in towards that information game again. But this time, we've seen a couple of big rounds, you and I, on Bank recently as well, with the Alder particularly inside of the staff area, just shutting people down as they try to come in through that double door, and we'll have to keep an eye on Miracle and see if we get any more of the same.
LMG meta we're in, mate. That's what it's all about, and that Alder is up there. That's
what the M stands for.
Absolutely. But what I'm finding interesting about Maestro, obviously, there's been a couple of changes to his gadget over the last, year or two. You can now punch it and break the glass, but dead teammates can also now move the cameras around. So that's a pretty notable change that's come through to those. Of course, if the glass is punched out, then you've probably done something wrong, because it means the enemies have got control of them and they are essentially useless anyway. But otherwise, you can have someone dead and they can still be making use of those cams. So when you double down on the Maestro and the Valkyrie, it can be infuriating to try and deal with those. It can be a real nightmare. And for BDS, who I wouldn't go as far as saying have a lot of utility here that can help them clear out those bubbles, you're only really looking at Shaiko for that. It's going to be painful. Unless he manages to use the Gon 6 or those nades to kill both, they're in for a world of hurt.
They certainly are. BIOS has taken a lot of damage here early in the round as well. It was a nitro attempt, I believe, and that's not going to serve them very well. But there have been shots exchanged with Highs and Rare as well. So BDS not in terrible shape here, but just looking to use that vertical control that they've now established to try and put a little bit of pressure on towards site. Renshiro on the book just going to go in and start opening things up here. Just trying to make life as difficult as possible for the defenders on that mid floor.
I was going to say for BIOS, I want to see more of these zero cams get thrown out. Even if you aren't using, like, even if you're not planning on putting them in the most optimal positions where you want them to be, it's better to have them out and be dead so you can use them than having two in back pocket. And once again, he's gone down with two in back pocket. Had one there on the main stairs. I didn't see where the first one went, but that's a lot of info in your back pocket. It's like not using one of your bubbles as the Maestro or keeping one or two cameras in back pocket as the Valkyrie. You want them out in the field to help your team out.
Rare manages to find Brede, and that leaves us now 5 versus 3. FURIA starting to cruise a little bit here. Shaiko able to find one onto Rare just to trade that one out. He's looking to push into that double door now, but just having to hold off for the time being. He's got a Lems moving through Tellers, who's looking to find a man inside of open, and he's just a second late to the punch there, leaving us now still 4 versus 3 with time ticking away. But Lems does find his man, gets the kill onto Fantasy, and brings us back to 3-all.
Maybe they'll try and step in. C4 coming out, not finding the man because neither of them were too close to the wall. I thought we might see someone try and open up the square wall, but obviously with the hard breacher offline, that's just simply not going to happen. And here we come. Third round in a row. FURIA are stinging BDS in the backside on the flank, and they find another one. When are BDS going to learn, Tim? That's, again, third round in a row.
That's it. They can't keep allowing that to happen. They keep taking them close to the end. They keep trying to push them into the late round, and they just don't seem to be able to close it out. BDS here, just allowing FURIA back into it time and time again.
You've got the Zero, you've got drones, you've got so much that can help you prevent this, and you haven't learned. I don't know if, like, now look, just to kind of clarify to all the viewers as well, we don't know anything about the Rafale situation, right? That's all at the minute being handled behind the scenes by Ubisoft and the team are making sure it's all going to be good. The obviously thing we're looking at here is we don't know strictly what's going on inside this team as well in terms of the communication. They looked a bit flat, like I said, during the timeout. They weren't really conversing with each other. Did they address the problem of these flanks hitting them? Probably not, but we also don't know what their current mental state is at, given all that's going on around the team.
Absolutely not. Going to be in round 4 now. FURIA back down to their first choice site. It's going to be defending down in the basement lockers and CCTV. They've had a complete defensive rotation successfully now, so looking good for them at this stage. They're just looking to cruise on through and get as good a half as they can, given that this is their map choice as well. You know, we really are expecting a strong finish from FURIA here. What they can't do is what they did back on Oregon, and that is allow BDS back into things. 4 rounds in a row BDS were able to claim once they got onto the defense, and you know, that may well be the situation again, that BDS just wakes up a little bit when they get onto the other side of this one.
Absolutely. We keep on speaking about that half-point switch. You never know what's going to come from it. It'll be a shame because, again, for BDS, they've got a 6-1 record on Bank. They are a very good team here when you look at how Sweden has gone, how EUL Stage 3 has gone, for example, but it is starting to feel a bit rough. You've even got Miracle hitting someone at the entryway in from Tunnel. What is that? Another big kill coming out of Miracle. He had a wonderful time in Oregon. He's finding himself 3-0 right now, where Fantasy is quiet, currently sat at 0-3. And we missed it, by the way. He's running a shotgun on the Jaeger.
Certainly is. I mean, Miracle there just choosing to use the smoke canister to finish Renshiro off. What he didn't want to do was basically overpeak that and expose himself to somebody who may be covering from Dirt Tunnel, but that wasn't the case. But he wasn't to know that. Now then, BIOS looking to push in through main lobby here. He's on the Hibana, so he's going to be looking to get some work done to open hatches up and try and get them some sort of access down into site. But there is going to be more than access into site that is needed for BDS here. It needs to start with some kills, and they need to start picking up these FURIA players. Now, the reason that we've got the Jaeger shotgun is because he's going to be holding down Blue Stairs, but he knows that the range is just a little bit too much for that weapon at the minute.
It's interesting because normally you'd see like an Ella playing inside of here with the Titan Killer, as Demo would call it, right? Going for the pistol one taps there, a little bit greedy on Fantasy's side, but doesn't lose his life for it. the beautiful part of this is the smoke could drop down the shield, get the ADS on the wall, and then just be like, cool, I can now hold this down entirely by myself. Shiko's doing a bit of work from above here, clearing out some of the gadgets below. Nades coming into the south side of red, just trying to force these FURIA members back so they can go for a drop. 75 seconds still to play with, plenty of time for BDS to make this work.
He's just getting on the cams there, feeding information in, seeing if he can just identify where this BDS push is coming from. Lems has got barbed wire ahead of him on the main stairs, which is going to slow things down considerably. He can't sort of push in there and try to make that unexpected appearance. Now Shiko taking shots towards blue stairs, but not going to be able to do any damage to the man behind that shield.
He's completely out of gadgetry. He can't clear the shield, and I mentioned this with the bubbles. What about the shields also being a thing in future rounds? It's just not the best utility use coming out of BDS, and Shiko's now down on the deck, probably soon to find himself out of this round, out of this world, as Alems tries to step his way through into sight to find one. Can't collect anything. Shiko back on his feet and at 20 HP. They know one's lurking around in gold bars, but Alems is dying to find someone, but cannot find a single thing. Here comes Fantasy off towards the side, gets it down with the shotgun through the wall. We keep on speaking about these flanks, and just to make matters worse, they've now been flanked by a Jaeger with a shotgun.
Well, that happened. Fantasy managing to find and create the peak hole and find the kill. Breeder doing everything he can. He's on a triple for the round. It could be a 4K to finish, but no, Miracle's just going to hold his ground and pick him up as he tries to move through into red corridor. And that's going to be another successful defense of FURIA. Probably a little closer than it should have been there, Des.
A little bit, yeah. I think I'm a bit excited at the end there and wanted to try and swing onto Breeder, but Breeder isn't the kind of player that you swing. He's pretty damn good at the game at the best of times. That said, coming into that round, he was on 0 kills. So to find 3 for himself will at least put him up there on the scoreboard ever so slightly. I kind of feel like a broken record about the whole flanking thing, but we can just appreciate for a second how smart that is coming out from the Jaeger player as well. You know, you're being put on blue stairs, you're playing with a shotgun, you know they're then out of utility. They've only got one grenade-based operator. It's probably why you're going to see the Nook step in here for Renshira to give them some more nades on sides. They can clear through this utility. And when you're like, okay, cool, they're not going to push blue anymore because they can't, I'm going to go for a walkabout. Runs over to the hatch where the attention is being given, where the rest of FURIA have communicated, okay, gadgetry is coming in, we've got players on the hatch, and makes a big impact. That's the 4th round in a row where FURIA have made great use of flanks. I know I keep on saying to BDS, you've got to get that course corrected, but you've also got to give it to FURIA for being, you know, ballsy enough to go for that 4 rounds in a row.
Absolutely that. They're going to be up to the top floor at this time around. Round 2, we saw them do this, and they were, guess what, successful, as they have been on every defense so far. It's looking good for FURIA to lock this one out with a potential 6-0 here, just to give themselves the real advantage going into the tougher half where they're going to be attacking onto Bank. But Fantasy bringing the Oryx around this time, and you just feel if he starts getting out into the map, Des, he could be a danger here. He's only got 1 kill so far, and he's maybe just thirsting after a few more.
Wouldn't blame him. As we hear the screams across the studio. So for those who are probably curious as to what the setup is like, I think it's nice to give a small idea. We're kind of in a big exhibition hall, you know, high ceilings and so on. At the very heart of it, we've got the command center where you see Milos, Jackie, the analysts. Off to the left-hand side, you've got 2 casting booths side by side where you've got us in one, and I believe it's Intero and Pengu in the other. On the other side of the command center is where all the playing stages are, where you can see the players. Now, we are probably halfway across the room from them, and we can still hear those screams all the way over here. That's just how excitable everything is starting to get. Speaking of excitable, Fantasy not going to be feeling very excitable right now. It's been shut down once again. Look at this angle by Rek, and you see the man almost scared about losing his own life. But it's Lender getting one back onto Shiko. 4 and 4. Again, early shots being fired, and BDS will find Rare. Not at all too bad for them, but FURIA, even at a man disadvantage, you're not going to count them out.
It could be the first round for BDS here if they can keep this going. Alems has got himself up to the top of Square Skylight. He's looking out towards Janitor, trying to find himself a kill. BDS just searching through. I think he knows there's somebody around me in lobby. Lender just manages to hit the man through the bars, and that is a tough one for BDS to take as Lender dips himself back upstairs, leveling through 3-3 now.
Saw him twice at that point, also being challenged off towards the far right-hand side. 3 versus 3. Instead, the IQ opts in to go below and look to remove away some of this gadgetry. Miracle 4-0 inside 4 rounds. Wants to keep up his average of running at 1 per round so far. And as his clock runs down, he's only more likely to get it. Still has 1 smoke canister in pocket. They still have the C4 on Lender. But for me, it's about those flank plays. Again, Lender's on 7 kills. Constantly hitting BDS on the flank and doing some wonders.
Exactly that, like you say, every time he just seems to find that angle onto the outside of them. Brede starts to put the diffuser down, but he has to dip away. Lems finds the kill onto Highs, and you just feel like this is one that BDS can close out. Lender manages to get the man off the rappel. That's going to be an important first one. And he drops Brede. That leaves us now with a potential ace for Lender here. There's only a Lems can stop him. He's managed to recover that diffuser, and he is going to go in for the plant. Lender is pushing forward, but doing so cautiously, given that he's low health. He can't see the man. He takes the shot, and a Lems is going to get that plant down and find a kill on the back of it.
Big play by Lems there. Just for a second, looked like Lender might walk away with the ace and give his team round 5, but no. BDS give themselves a little bit of padding, potentially, heading into the second half. Remembering again, they go on the defensive side. The last thing you want to be is down 6-0 and be reminded every single round that it is match point, that you cannot mess up even once. 1 round at least gives you that little bit of padding to have 1 round that goes wrong, to get stung by something that's going to surprise you, for example. And surely the blitz doesn't stick. That doesn't really feel like a BDS special, but Renshiro is going to really go for it here. So this feels like a really weird throwback to 2 or 3 years ago, seeing IQ and Blitz in the same lineup. Very weird. You said,
not something that we see.
And a Nook? What? Okay. Now, they're full sending. This is what we would call it.
Just throw and see what sticks does.
This is full sending. Just send it. Just go for it. You know, why not? Throw it at the wall and see what sticks, as you say, Tim. I'm not convinced, but we'll give it a go.
We'll keep a close eye on those unusual operators and see if they can have any impact or not. We're going to have an open area defense from FURIA to finish things off here. They're looking to find themselves a 5-1 half. It's been good for them so far. I think what FURIA need to be careful of here is not throwing this away, not getting carried away, because it's getting that little bit easier with Sim Fantasy challenging with the Jaeger shotgun. You know, they just need to keep their heads in the game. There's 3 points on the line here. Just get it locked down now.
That's it. No one, I think, had on their scratch cards FURIA taking a 2-0 today. Obviously, the circumstances may have altered that for many of you, but it would be a prolific start and a great way to blow this group wide open. Because I think most people had BDS down as being first place coming out of this group. FURIA taking 3 points off them is one hell of a way to blow that wide open going into tomorrow and beyond. We'll see how things start to shape up from there. At least Alem's trying to come in nice and quick with pace, finds Rare. Nice and quick. So catching FURIA off guard ever so slightly. Now he needs to try and chain that into 1 or 2 more. He's going to get himself tagged down by Fantasy, who was hanging around inside of admin office. Now it's up to Lender, the human blender. What can he step forward and achieve?
Renshiro just trying to work something with the blitz here, taking shots in through the soft wall. Not going to find anybody for the time being. Might just find himself stepped out on from the man just inside of open area if he's not careful. But for the time being, FURIA are going to play this cautiously. Just going to keep themselves calm and take a step back inside. Now then, got Highs, Miracle, Lender, everybody, Fantasy included, all inside a site, although Lender thinks about getting himself out, and they will find a kill onto Renshiro. 4 versus 3 now. FURIA with the advantage that you feel like they needed here. It's going to potentially leave them with a 5-1 half. Brede just holding down the angle, and 4 versus 3 now. 1 minute 30 left to go.
Don't forget, you're still staring at a very intel-heavy lineup as well, where you've got the Maestro, you've got the Valkyrie in tandem working together to give all the information this team needs. You can see Rare, again, the defeated member of FURIA, sat on the Evil Eyes, on those bubbles, feeding information as dead men can now rotate those cameras around. Plenty of use and plenty of information to feed back and forth. Bios hits the deck. It really leaves Shaiko and Brede in a 2 versus 4 to keep this round alive. Diffuser has also been dropped, mind you.
Like you said, that diffuser down cold is a big problem for them here. Bios has managed to sort of crawl himself to safety, but I don't think he's going to be getting picked up. But if nothing else, he can provide a little bit of intel. Brede trying to get something going from inside of Tellers, but I don't think there's going to be much to find here. He manages to get 1 onto Lender, but Fantasy got 1 just before that. Miracle with the final kill. The down onto Bios will be finished off and confirmed at the same time, and that's going to be 5-1 to FURIA on the half.
Alrighty, things gets a bit spicy here. Yes, FURIA move onto the attacking side, but with such a monumental lead, 5 rounds to 1, you start thinking, okay, well, where can BDS possibly fight their way back into this? Sure, you might find yourself with a round or two, but it's only going to take 1 round from FURIA to guarantee overtime and 2 to take the match. And again, with how that last round played out, with the operator selection BDS had, yeah, I don't need to say too much about that.
Not at all. Staff and open area could be the well, it can't be the final site, but it could leave close to it. Could leave FURIA on map point after this one. They are 5-1 up at the minute and sort of cruising here. BDS, they might find a little bit more joy now that they've got themselves onto the defense. We've got Renshiro bringing the Oryx along, so potential little bit of mobility from him as he gets himself out on the roam. FURIA just looking to get this one closed out. This is the situation they found themselves in last time. It ended up 6-2 on that occasion, and they let BDS back into it. I'm sure they're going to want to learn their lesson here and not do more of the same.
No. So the big difference in that first half was the flanks coming out of FURIA. For BDS, they've got the players to make those kind of plays, right? You've got a Lems on the Valkyrie. I spoke about this earlier on. If he plays that, he likes to get out on the roam and cause trouble. Shaiko's on the Melusi, can do much the same. Renshiro on the Oryx can again do much the same. Shaiko's even staring here and looking for a run out, really going for it, hoping someone comes to the run. Not to be the case. Oh, ho, ho! A shot from Fantasy, who was up on the roof in rapid fashion, finds himself a kill and shuts down Shaiko.
That's it. Fantasy got up there very, very quickly to be able to react to that. Lems, he's looking to double down and he's going to take some damage as well. I think BDS need to learn that that doorway is not one to play on, because Fantasy is watching it very, very closely. 5 versus 4, we find ourselves very quickly here, and FURIA looking to sweep in and get across that top floor, get it cleared as quickly as possible. Fantasy finds himself another onto Lems, and BDS just feel like they're throwing themselves onto FURIA right now as Lender gets Renshiro. Brede does manage to get one and drop himself back down the elevator, looking for the main lobby challenge as well. Might see his man if he keeps looking, but no, he's going to dip away, and that's Miracle just getting away with one potentially there, but Brede is coming back for a second glance.
Might want to swing back in because he heard him shoot out the default camera inside the lobby, which gives the indication, right, step back in, be ready to challenge, and goes to the challenge. Comes out worse for wear, and now might find himself backing away. And behind him came Lender, not that it mattered as Miracle won out that gunfight. Bios is left alive, all by his lonesome. It's 6-1 to FURIA, and it feels like this one is destined to be a LATAM 2-0.
It certainly does look that way as FURIA take themselves now onto map point. One more round will do it for them. And like you say, with the way that one went, it does feel like that will likely be the case here. 6-1 now for FURIA, and they are cruising. It's going to be Staff and Open once again. BDS just doubling down, deciding they will try more of the same. I mean, they weren't particularly close, but maybe they just think that they've got the answer, the secret ingredient that will get them around there.
Possibly so. For BDS, it's going to be a change over to a little bit of information denial. The Mozzie on side, the Vigil for a Lems, for example. Renshiro, the one now picking up the Valkyrie. So a couple of switches around as to who's playing what as we head down into Staff and open area. I can't imagine you'll see a repeat again coming out of BDS where they're trying to go for the spawn kill run out of the top of square. Maybe a little bit bold on their side, but for FURIA, they feel fully in control. And what I'm enjoying about them is we've seen different players shine, right? Last map, Fantasy, Miracle, the 2 big players on board. Miracle still having a great game at 6-1, but Lender is the man of the hour here as well. Some brilliant rounds, almost winning out that 1 versus 4, but not quite able to achieve so. Or, sorry, nearly getting the ace overall, I suppose I should say. He's still sat at 12-3. A good start for FURIA and a really good way to warm into the tournament.
Certainly is, and I think we're going to see probably more of the same from FURIA here, just trying to get themselves into the top floor, get a few kills, and then work their way down from there. It looks like BDS have learnt their lesson. They're not going to be poking their faces out of any doors for the time being. Shaiko last time trying that peek to just try and give them something, you know, a little bit of a spark to get things going inside of the round, but he's not going to be doing that this time. Renshiro on the Valkyrie, getting those cams. He is going to be having a look outside. Lems as well, potentially. I'm not sure if they're going to take a jump out here. They both look like they're prepping for it. There come the shots. Very lucky not to lose their head. There it goes. Lender able to counter that very well. 4v5 now as FURIA start to pile on the pressure.
I said I didn't think they'd go for it, but they've definitely tried. This one looks to be another total shutout, though. BDS falling by the wayside. FURIA with a wonderful first performance, a great motivator for them going into the rest of the competition. It's only BDS and BDS left to hold down the fort here, try and do some damage, but FURIA with 5 alive, I'm pretty sure will close this one out in no time.
Certainly looks that way. BDS just keeping himself in behind the bomb chassis on side of sight. He's got BDS on the top floor, just trying to see if he can get anything going here. He knows there's a man inside of the main lobby. He might just find himself walking into a problem, as there are a couple pushing from that direction. There's one just on the other side of the door here. Does he win the fight? Of course he does. Gets the kill onto Highs. BDS manages to find Fantasy, and that brings us back with BDS in touching distance now. 2 versus 3. And maybe not such a certainty, as Rare takes a lot of damage and finds himself down and dead. BDS and BDS finding another one apiece, and all of a sudden it's a 1v2.
Yeah, all of it to do as well. Can find the one at the further back. No, he cannot just yet. BDS is very low, but BDS still sat at full HP here. Miracle has done a lot of work so far, but he gets the down to BDS as well, and he won't know about it. The flank coming in from BDS off towards the side, knows that his teammate has gone down. Miracle has got a drone on field if he wants to make use of it here, sees the man and gets the finish and knows it's a 1 versus 1. Support versus support, who comes out on top?
It's not going to be an easy finish for Miracle, that much is for sure. BDS not only full health, but also sat on top of the diffuser as well. He knows that Miracle has to play deep inside of sight here, but Miracle does have the clock on his side. He's got 55 seconds, so plenty of time to work with here, but no drones left alive that he can control. He's limited to what might already be there. He's looking to push in. I think BDS away, but Miracle somehow manages to find the shot and take the full 3 points for FURIA.